Hello and welcome back to Clownfish TV. It is me, Geeky Sparkles, and today maybe I'm joined by Neon.
Hey, it's me, Neon. I just want to take a moment to say that Geeky is the best. Geeky is awesome, and I wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for Geeky Sparkles.
Oh, stop. No, seriously, he's not here again because his voice still sounds like crap. So we're going to talk today about kids' TV. And it's interesting because we did a video yesterday, well, I did a video yesterday, talking about the meltdowns we're seeing out of people in the animation industry. And while there's some valid concerns involving, jobs being sent away and things like that, there are also a lot of people screaming and making demands. And, we're trying to help them, and then you're turning around and crapping on us. But further, along this narrative, we also have some information about cartoons and TV, which is completely playing into this whole problem. Why we're seeing so many shows canceled. Just the other day, they canceled Marvel's Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur too, and they keep getting rid of really good shows, even ones that have audiences. Then there was the whole problem. They were taking things off the networks too. There was concern that they were going to take off, Over the Garden Wall. I forget which network it's on right now. My kids were watching it yesterday because it's something they really like. But there's different shows that are very popular are disappearing off of these services. That's why you need to make sure you buy physical media because you never know when they're going to be gone. But they just are canceling even ones that perform to save money or because it's too difficult or whatever. And the ones that they're going to work with, they're going to send overseas. But at the end of the day, why? The audience they're pushing for isn't there. A lot of them are in places like YouTube, which is what we've been saying. So before we get into it any further, please like and subscribe. If you do, I'll give you a woohoo, and we're going to talk about this. So this is on the Wrap Pro. And Neon saw this earlier and had me come over and do it. So it said, Kids TV is dead, long live Kids TV. It said, Gen Alpha, Gen A pivots entirely to streaming and creator-driven content. Studios are struggling to adjust to remake making of kids entertainment. So the kids today, the Gen Alpha kids, besides the fact that a lot of teachers are quitting teaching because they said that they're so difficult that they can't teach them like they used to. They are not watching this. They are literally on the computers all the time looking for content. And a lot of us are too, but it's starting younger and younger. And this is not necessarily a good thing because I mentioned the other day also that I saw parents were talking how they were letting their kids watch shows from the 90s. Like they were watching Bear in the Big Blue House and Roly Poly Oly and things like that because they were less stimulating for their kids. And I don't mean that like in a mentally stimulating way. I mean just stimulation way. And kids couldn't focus on them very long, or they get so overstimulated they couldn't sleep and they'd be more irritable and upset. Where the other shows they could watch for a while, you could turn it off and they could calm themselves down, learn from it, and move on to something else and still go to bed in time. And we're seeing this. And now these kids that were growing up with all this, really overstimulating content are out there constantly looking for more content like it, but they're going to find content in places where they like to go, which is places like YouTube. So they said for decades, the acts like watching TV was by appointment only. The networks dictated what was shown and when. I was just talking about this to my kids the other day. I said the reason they're called pop culture moments, we were talking about unsolved mysteries. And I said about Unsolved Mysteries, it's like everybody solves so many mysteries because everybody was watching that show. Like they had limited shows, but everyone watched them. And that's how it used to be. So they said you could have them after school or Saturday mornings. 80s kids and 70s kids know that. Sesame Street people, SpongeBob SquarePants, Blue's Clues, had a stable production pipeline and a revenue stream in place because you always could count on an audience. That's no longer the case, which is probably why we're seeing so many animated projects canceled, which is probably one of the reasons we're seeing a lot of things sent overseas to make them cheaper for the things they do keep. It's because the audience is changing. And no matter how much your union wants to try to dictate different things and you want to scream and be mad at me, the reality is people are moving to places where it's creator-owned content, which is kind of what I was saying yesterday. And that's also that I'll try to say his name right because I guess they said it's Gendy Tartakovsky, also said in this interview, and what he said to the SCAD kids is make your own stuff. We're not trying to be dicks to you. We're just telling you this is what's happening. Look to be 2 steps ahead of the game. So Linear ratings for kids' television has cratered over the last decade and changed the programming landscape completely. Ratings for Nickelodeon plummeted 86% from 2016 to 2023. We already know the Disney Channel fell 90% in the same period, according to Nielsen. Instead, the viewers aged 2 to 17, who account for nearly 30% of YouTube's viewership in July, they're watching their shows on places like YouTube. All right? So they said the carefully curated programming blocks of the past are upended by streaming, and they were. So all those carefully curated blocks of content after school, on Saturday morning cartoons, things like that, where they had a certain time. When we had streaming, all this content is available all the time whenever you want it, which is, again, like kind of what I was talking to my kids about with Unsolved Mysteries. And now we have content that's driven by creator properties and projects like Coco Melon, for example, that are sucking up most of the audience. YouTube is kicking the studio's asses, and it's individuals doing the work. Individuals, maybe they have a team, but it's their own property until they sell it to like Candle Media, like Coco Melon did. It's their own stuff. And that's what kids are wanting to watch. A lot of it isn't even cartoons anymore. Sometimes it's just, shows with adults that are like doing these little kids like Blippi and things like that. That's where kids are watching. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. That is the reality of the situation. This is building upon what we said yesterday. So they said that the rise of creator-driven YouTube shows that aren't easily replicated at the studio level, oftentimes they kill it, has disrupted decades of know-how around developing and programmed TV shows for children and upending the entire playing field. Right now is the best time if you're going to make your own stuff, because never has it been easier to get in. Like, y'all are going on about, well, that's hard. You did it a long time ago when it was easy. It's never been easy. But it's easier now because there's a demand for it, and there's openings, and there's not as much, there's no more limits to being able to entry. What's the barrier for entry? There's not as much barrier for entry now as there used to be. It was all created by the studios. They're trying to replicate it. It reminds me of the iCarly episode where they were going to have Hollywood was going to do the show, and they basically recast everyone, and it was unwatchable, and everybody hated it. And then the studio executive thought he was doing great, but his daughter's like, this sucks. It's like that. They're trying to be, hey there, fellow kids, but they can't be like that. But you can be like that. You can be a direct link to an audience. So stop whining and spend more time trying to do something. Just my 2 cents. Kids are not watching linear TV. So it doesn't matter how much you scream about unions and everything else in the animation field. If they're not watching the shows and there's no money to be had, it's not going to change anything. They're still going to keep canceling things because they don't have the money to put into it. They said, complicating matters further, companies like Nickelodeon dedicated children's programming miscalculated they could seamlessly pivot to streaming while still preserving a decade-long television infrastructure studios already invested billions of dollars to create. Again, barrier to entry is much lower. You don't need billions of dollars. Our company, along with others, was selling our content to the streamers because it felt like it was going to be a parallel universe. The founder of Mimo Studios and former president Nickelodeon, who left in 2018, told The Wrap. It turned out not to be a parallel universe at all. It doesn't help that some of the biggest players in the children's space are tied to cable, a space that has historically and painfully dropped. The number of pay TV households came in at 94.9 million 9 years ago. At the end of 2024, that number is expected to drop to 70 million. All right, 26% decrease. Here, we've talked about this before. You can see over the years, 8 years ago, it's up here, and then by last year, it's down here. It's a huge drop. Disney Channel is one we've talked about a lot. Cartoon Network's another one we've talked about a lot. It's dropping. They're going to YouTube and places like that. So if these are the companies, the studios, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Disney. These are the studios that were hiring animators like crazy and keeping all these people employed. And we were here in 2016, and we're here now, or last year, not even this year. It's probably going to be lower for this year. Where do you think they're going to get the money to do all these shows that you want to do? They're trying to keep it going by sending it overseas. And I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but I'm saying you can't expect this when we're here. You just can't. I'm sorry. That's reality. It's not me negative meanie pants talk. This is reality. This is called math. It's this wonderful thing about numbers and how percentages work. That's, here we are. Now, this doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means that you're going to have to probably do things in a different way and on your own and not expect somebody else to pay for your butt to be in the seat and have that security. It sucks, but it's the reality of the situation. They said the viewership trends of younger audiences often paved the way for the future. A generation of millennials didn't become Disney fans as adults. They fell in love with the brand as kids. So if you get kids to love you now, you're also future-proofing your further business. This is what this Brookman, who's a general manager of Kids Global Streaming International Networks for Cartoon Network, told The Wrap. So this is somebody in charge. They're trying to future-proof your business, all right? Cable audience is aging. The average age of a viewer is around 60 years old. 10 years ago, the median age for a broadcast or cable TV viewer was 44.4 years old. So 10 years from now, they'll probably be even older. So you have to redefine your audience and cater to them in a meaningful way. Otherwise, you're going to be obsolete. To better understand the collapse of what this means for the entertainment industry, The Wrap spoke to current and former heads of some of the biggest brands in children's television. Industry insiders or leaders who've been monitoring the space for years. Okay, representatives for Disney and Nickelodeon declined to comment for this story. Shocker there, gotta tell you. So in 2016, Disney Channel averaged 1.316 million viewers a day. Nickelodeon at the same time, 1.313 million viewers, and Cartoon Network averaged a little bit under a million, 969,000. And they have plummeted. Last year, Disney saw 132,000 viewers. That's like a tenth, all right? Of this 90% drop. So yeah, a tenth. Nick's viewership plummeted 86%. Cartoon Network fell 85%. Disney took the biggest hit, but the other ones are plummeting as well. It is what it is. They said it's impacted the bottom lines of parent companies, these networks. They're saying advertising revenue for Disney's linear networks fell. So that's the same across the board. Paramount saw a decrease in advertising revenue as well, which is why they're focusing on streaming and trying to sell ads on their networks. That's why it used to go from you just pay a streaming subscription fee to now you have to have ads as well. Even ad-free, you still have ads. While this is going on, we've talked about this at length, YouTube has soared. In July of this year, the company was the first streaming platform to lead monthly TV usage, accounting for 10.4% of TV viewing, according to Nielsen's media distributor Gauge report. It's due to increased YouTube consumption from children and younger audiences, as school-age viewers ranging from 2 to 17 accounted for 30% of the viewership. I am telling you, when my kids were in that age range, well, I still have one child in that age range. When they were younger, before they go to school and after they came home from school, what did they watch? They watched occasionally some shows like iCarly and stuff like that. But most of the time, they were watching YouTube. They were watching the different videos on there. They love watching. They used to love watching the Vine videos, but they were brought over to YouTube and things like that. Good Mythical Morning, different shows that were on there. Like they had Fred on there, but they loved Annoying Orange and things like that. They have been doing this because cable and TV kept getting more and more expensive. We couldn't afford it. We weren't getting it. So they switched to YouTube. They have been doing it for a long time. And now it's become the norm for these children. So why are studios going to spend more money paying you to do these shows that no one's going to watch? They're not going to. But that does not mean it's the end. That means that now you get to be creative and you either get to go start your own thing, or these people on YouTube, they need people to help them. Maybe you can find those companies and go jump over there. Coco Melon was huge and sold for, I forget how many billions of dollars to Candle Media. It was insane. And it was a husband and wife who started it. When their kids, they were based on stories they told their kids. Like, bullshit, you can't do anything. Bullshit, it's so hard now. They said there's a whole new category of user-generated content, and it's getting more and more sophisticated. Director of Media Entertainment of Agora told The Wrap. It's starting to fill its own niche, a new niche. Exactly. If you're in a room and the doors are locked and the windows are locked, you know what you do? You get out a fucking chainsaw and you cut yourself a new door. That's how it goes. You just never think that it's not an option. You have to. That's your choice. You either cut yourself a new door and move forward, or you understand that you're going to have to walk away and go do something else. That's basically where it's gotten to. And here's the good news. If you've done this animation stuff for studios before and you start your own thing, say by some weirdness, it goes back to being a studio-based something in 10 years, you have that experience you can always fall back on. No one can take that away from you. All right. Because of the impact of streaming and the internet, they noted that the industry at large will need to become less opportunistic when it comes to where content is being consumed. We've already seen that. We've seen everything from full-on episodes of shows and movies you can buy on YouTube through to individual clips that are sent out to social media to try to reach a new audience. We're going to see the traditional broadcasters completely transition to an online digital-first platform provider. It's inevitable. The problem is they try with the their fellow kids, and that doesn't mean that their voice is going to be one that kids want to watch. They're talking about it being hard on distributors. It's been tough on creators. One showrunner for a 6 to 11 animated show that ran on linear TV told The Wrap the network was trying everything with this individual show as ratings were in free fall, using it to test balloon, to experiment with different release strategies to find an audience while holding firm in a decision to not put full episodes on YouTube. And then the network had to. Okay? This is the reality. They're talking about different people. Networks like Nickelodeon, Disney Channel have leaned more into streamers under the same corporate roof. Paramount Plus and Disney Plus, respectively. Children's content reduces streaming churn. A recent report found that households with children were 8% less likely to cancel a streaming video on demand subscription compared to households without children. This is because of the rewatchability in kids and toddler shows. Coco Melon, Bluey, that kind of stuff. It is, second most popular genre on Paramount Plus is kids and family. So it's going to streaming and it's going to YouTube. And here, YouTube, the elephant in the room. Gosh, we saw her the other day. My kids knew all about this person, Miss Rachel. I was like, who the hell's Miss Rachel? They knew all about it. My kids are, older. They're talking about a large percentage of the average house consumes are from content creators like Ms. Rachel, who apparently kids say she's really great. Blippi, Stephen John and Moonbug to Blippi, and now that Blippi is on Max, Hulu, and Prime Video. So what they're doing is these companies are going and trying to get deals with these people to bring them to their networks to attempt to get people to subscribe. And it is a lot of things in the content. You just have to do better content. So children no longer distinguish between legacy content or creator-driven content. To them, it's just what they want to watch. Just somebody who resonates with kids. A polling conducted by the company YouTube found that 85% of parents who use YouTube for their kids say they find quality content to entertain and educate their kids. And 75% of those parents say they find content that can help fill in gaps for their kids and their educational experiences. Hell, as a teacher, I tell people this all the time. I'm an art teacher, all right? I'm certified K through 12. I've worked with kids in art and regular classes because I substitute and I would team up with teachers all the time. And people would say about drawing or learning how to do things. And I'm like, look, unless you're going to college for art education, going to school for art, you don't have to. You really don't have to. But you can learn things faster. That being said, I recommend people want to learn how to do something. You go watch it on YouTube. There are all kinds of how-to videos on there. You find higher rated ones with lots of views and have good reviews. You watch those. My daughter, I'm an art teacher. She went and watched YouTube videos. I told her, you need to watch on these things. She went and watched YouTube videos in a week or two, and her art drastically improved. Because there are people on there who are professionals in their field that are doing really well, and they know how to do stuff, and they're on there teaching others how to do it. You want to learn how to do some kind of niche craft. You want to learn how to crochet. You want to learn how to knit. You want to learn how to sew. You want to learn how to do any of this stuff, and you have no one to teach you. YouTube. Of course, there's a niche for different people that are probably certified in education doing shows on YouTube. Probably filling in gaps that curriculums miss, especially since anymore they stupid teach to the test and not teach in general. And I'm sure there's all kinds of stuff, and they're turning into giant brands. And they're not terrible because they're on YouTube. A lot of times they're excellent. Not all of them, of course, but there are excellent examples of different things that you can do as additive, supplemental on YouTube. It's not just that. We're talking here. There's another story. This is on broadcasting and cable. Kids are going to YouTube to stream shows they used to watch on cable. Paw Patrol, Peppa Pig are on YouTube. They're watching it on YouTube because these networks still make money off that. That's where they're going. I'm telling you, my kids were doing that before, Gen Alpha did it. They're Gen Z and they were doing it since they were little. We would watch what they watched to make sure that they weren't just glued to something they shouldn't be, watching. But because there's a lot of bad things on there, like those Elsa Spider-Man videos they used to have, and then and then they had the whole thing with the taking the comments off of kids' content and stuff because to protect children. But they were watching this before that. We had to just pay attention to what they watched, and they're on YouTube. Kids want to watch SpongeBob, Peppa, and Paw Patrol. They're going to YouTube. A new study from Precise TV and Giraffe Insights. They're talking about 30% increase in kids using YouTube, while paid streaming services usage was down 53%, and free video on demand services were down 40%. They're going to YouTube. There's an audience there. If you can provide quality content, there's an audience. You might have to, get creative and find ways to, viral market it ahead of time. But if you can get people interested in it, if you can get them talking about it on TikTok and stuff, you're going to get an audience. Next on the list are Bluey, Peppa Pig, Nick Jr., Coco Melon, Disney Music, Mr. Beast, and PJ Masks. They said Paramount Plus ranks high among streaming services with 29% of parents and families saying they've watched it recently, but it ranks behind only Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, Amazon Prime, and YouTube Kids. So basically it ranks behind everything else. So this is a Paramount Plus supported article. Traditional media networks and their time-honored franchises are winning attention in non-TV arena and winning Gen Alpha's attention at record rates. Christian Dankel, co-founder and chairman of Precise TV, said, children and their parents are increasingly turning to social video to watch content traditionally accessed via streaming services. We're noticing certain media networks rise above the pack with effective social mobile strategies, which is what I was just saying, and are stoking attention in their kid-friendly content. For advertisers, YouTube established itself as the place to go to reach kids. The report said the platform delivers high advertising recall rates and has a great deal of influence over family purchasing decisions. I was saying to Neon the other day, I miss seeing the toy commercials. Like, you don't see toy commercials that much on here anymore. We're watching like Hulu with live TV and different things, and there's not any toy commercials. But when we were on YouTube, toy commercials. Depending on the content and what you're watching, there are toy commercials. Because they're targeting parents and kids, depending on the demographic of your videos. YouTube delivers 2.3 times greater ad recall compared to broadcast TV and 2.6 times greater than video on demand. Nearly a third of kids think the best commercials air against their favorite YouTube content. More than 20% of parents are inspired by YouTube to buy things for their children. 60% of parents agree that they are more likely to purchase a product they saw advertised when co-viewing with a child. Video also faces the challenges from gaming and reaching kids. Gaming is the third most popular media consumption platform for kids, behind only YouTube and video on demand apps. Nearly 60% of kids play mobile games or tablet games, 45% playing video games. Why do you think Disney's investing all this money into Fortnite? That's where the money is. They tried to do YouTube. They really can't seem to understand or break into it. They're trying with TikTok. They've tried to bring influencers in. So now their answer is to put ads on everything on the streaming services they can control. And then they're trying to get into whatever's popular with kids in the gaming market. There's a reason. So at the end of the day, all of this is telling us that kids' content is moving. Kids' TV is dead, but there's still kids' content and there's kids' shows, but they're in a different place. And by being in a different place, the studios don't control that yet. I know they've been trying to. But that gives people an opportunity here. But you cannot expect companies to not try to save money and to not cut shows and to not do what they have to do to try to stay viable and in business when in 8 years' time, we've gone from this viewership level to this viewership level. This is the facts. This is the reality. Facts, not feelings. It sucks. I'm not saying it's a good thing. But right now is probably not the best time to try to break into things like animation, unless you're doing it for yourself. Which goes back to what Gendy or whatever, Gendy, however you say it, said when he said, if he had to do things again at this point in time, he's like, it's unpredictable with the studios. It's unpredictable with the studios. And he said, if I was young right now, I would be making my own shows and putting them on YouTube or Instagram or wherever and trying to get an audience that way. You get an audience, studios want to buy it. Amazing Digital Circus or Has Been Hotel. And all those shows are great stories as far as somebody just doing it independently. I think even the guys from Smiling Friends would just make short films themselves independently, and then they came up with a show together. I think it's a healthier way to do your own thing right now. And maybe have a full-time job while you're doing it. And then after, do your own stuff. That's what I'd be doing. I've been doing that throughout my whole career. When I'm at a place where I'm unhappy on my own, I develop my next thing. You have to be aggressive in that way and to make your own destiny, I guess, without sounding too cheesy, because he's right. All the data is pointing to that. Keep making, videos of whining and screeching. It doesn't change this information. All right? Hate me if you want. I'm just the messenger. So there you go. Comment and let me know what you think, and hopefully we'll get Neon back soon. Sorry my impression wasn't very good. I will talk to you later. Bye.
Join the reef. Go to clownfish-.com. That's clownfish-.com. You will get exclusive access to podcasts and videos and comic strips and more, as well as merch discounts. Check it out. If you were a member, you could get this t-shirt, this dismal t-shirt on our website. You'd get a 10% discount on that. You can also join in the community on clownfish-.com. Thank you so much for the support.